Oh, look, I'm little again. Well, welcome back to Pieces that Pat Paints. I'm Pat. We paint pieces. I paint a lot of different kinds of pieces. It just kind of depends on what's going on in the studio at any given time. It's just random. A lot of times it's miniatures or sculptures. I've been doing a lot of sculptures for a client. And so that's been a lot of fun. Really, really awesome. Yeah, so we got that going for us. My eye is looking a little better. Look, I can almost open it up as much as my other eye. It's still pretty red. It's still pretty red. So yeah, we got that going for me. I kind of have a headache today, but that's all right. We're gonna keep soldiering on because that's what we do. The show must go on, Plus, I gotta get my stuff done and put my, get my sales going so we can get more stuff in the studio and, keep things moving. So, I don't want to be down for too long. And, it's only like an hour. So, it's not like a long time. I can handle an hour, So, anyway, we've got Cyber Audio Guy today. For our music, so we're gonna cue him. We're gonna cue him right up, and we're just gonna go ahead and roll right into it. We've got everything ready to go today, which is kind of nice. It's always better when it's ready to go. All right. Well, okay. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing with this leather we did with the leather up top. We're going to put a layer of our burnt umber down first. We'll drop a bit of raw umber on it afterwards. And then we'll come back and clean it up with some detailed work. This may end up needing 2 coats of that umber, the burnt umber. You can always keep the easiest way to remember the difference between one and the other for your visually between burnt colors and regular colors is the redness of it. So regular raw umber is a lot darker brown than burnt umber. Burnt umber is a little brighter, but it's redder. And then when you get into like burnt sienna versus regular sienna is more of a tan, and burnt sienna is an orangey brown. Or orangey tan, really. More reddish. And we can kind of do that with all of this boot. Yeah. I love that he's got little laces. I should give him rainbow laces. Just for funny. I'm not going to, but it'd be funny. All of a sudden he's rocking like rainbow sparkle shoelaces to his boots. It'd be terrible. We're definitely gonna make them leather. We want it to look right. We're not trying to be weird. I mean, we're trying to be weird like, oh, you guys can't see what we're doing. Ugh. Not that it matters. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of people watch this. This is why I need more people watching. So that way somebody can catch me. Say, Pat, what are you doing? How far in? Golly, 7 minutes. I wonder how long. I mean, I painted all this while y'all weren't looking. So, so funny. A little bit of business things going on there. I also try to like trade stocks during the day, or at least monitor stocks. Sometimes I don't actually make any moves. I just watch it. There's days I just didn't make any moves. Today I did pretty good. I got in and out today with a little bit of money. So that's good. It's always nice when you can get a little bit of cash. I knew today would be volatile after last night's insanity. That was crazy. I've never seen anything like that. And if you don't want to know what I'm talking about, you don't want to know. Stay out of it. It's just better if you do. It's oof. Politics, politics, politics. Alright, okay, let's go ahead and put... Oh, we missed a little spot with the red yesterday. I'll have to come back and finish that up. Anywho, what were we talking about? We were talking about colors and the differences. So, like, I've always felt like the Umbers and the Siennas and black were probably our first colors when we made paints and pigments and stuff. I feel like those came first. And you go back and you look at pottery and stuff like that. I'm sure we had ended up with a red very quickly. So we had maybe have reds and stuff like that. But blues definitely seem to be harder to produce. So you gotta think eventually blue paint probably was very exclusive. So that's kind of fun to think about. Blues and greens. Just trying to get a real quick thin coat on here. We'll follow it up later. I like going over it to make sure I've got all my brush strokes pretty clean, especially in that first couple of coats, because that's usually where if it's going to get squirrely, it'll get squirrely on you in those first couple of rounds. Alright, while we're here, let's fix this red. Okay. Derp. Derp, derp, derp. I might have drank too much caffeine. Maybe I need some more. Okay. Second verse ends first. Come through here and make sure all this has a real nice coat. Alright. Alright, so that's a good start for that one. We'll do another coat on this one, and then we'll pull out, probably going to come through that Naples Yellow and the red again. Make sure we got all that right. With some loud boots and pants right there. Something in it was just loud in my ears, like ding 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 ding. It was definitely making my headache go brr, 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 brr. Like, oh, it's back now. It's like making my fillings vibrate a little bit. Normally it would probably be cool with it. I'd be like, alright man, a little science fiction stuff, but today it's like, making my head hurt. She being a big old baby. I'll live. I love how much easier second coats are, honestly. I'm really glad we went with red here. I really think that's going to help this whole thing kind of come together. We're going to draw our eyes around. Now we're going to make this red super dirty because it's, you know, it's this like boot sock or whatever. Wraps. So they're not going to be a clean thing. We're going to want them pretty grimy. So they won't stay this red for long. Matter of fact, we're not actually going to put a whole lot more red on it. We're just going to touch up any places where we may have gotten some Naples Yellow in our way. Which is why we're going to tighten up that Naples Yellow again first before we come back one more time and touch up the reds. I'm hoping that we don't have to do too much touching up on the red. We should just be able to touch up the yellow and go, but you never know. I might make a mistake. That happens. People make mistakes. Oh yes. Okay. Alright, so we're going to jump off our 3. Get my hand's feeling a little better today. That's a good sign. Yesterday I was cramping pretty bad. After all that holding on the inner tubes and roller coaster carts and rides and stuff, that always makes your wears your hand out a bit. Oh. Okay. So we're going to come down. We're actually going to come all the way down to this 5/0. And that's what we're going to use here. We're just coming along any place where maybe we need to just get a little more of that Naples in, cover up any mistakes, that sort of stuff. This brush doesn't hold a whole lot of paint, so you're going to be coming back to the well a lot. But with this situation, it's going to be better for us to do that because we've got less chances of over paint, or you paint over onto something else. Slip up, if you want to call it that. Another good name for it would be a mistake, a slip up, an error. And a lot of this underneath that I'm obsessing with right now doesn't really make that much of a difference in the grander overall scheme of things, but I feel like it does help. There's a little bit of the way the eye perceives things, and sometimes your eye can just tell that it's seeing it wrong, or that something isn't right with the image. Now, that was just some water I put on there to take off that little bit of overpaint I had put on there. We're going to come back. See, we got a place here. Well, we need to bring the red back right here. Because it is 100% bulging out through the rope right there. Deep breaths, bold strokes. Gotta be bold. You gotta be bold. Can't be afraid of it. Just make that choice and go for it. You can always take care of things in a touch-up. And some of that's going to get covered up with our washes and such. So be mindful of that. We are going to be coming back and adding a wash, and then maybe even a little bit of some highlights to pull out the rope and the way the light should be hitting it. We'll have to see how it looks when we get everything going. Okay. Okay. And just a little tiny space right back there. Okay. Just gotta keep kind of looking for the places where it might have not quite taken right. Okay, now we're down onto the leg, well, the lower leg. Under the calf. and just very slowly, methodically, and systematically come through and touch all this up. What I might do here is I might do up this one leg today and try and knock out a little bit, knock out this other one. Off camera, although I say that a lot and I never get around to doing it. My kids have me very busy. But I feel like maybe if we do one, focus on getting one done. Well, I guess that's not really a thing. We gotta let washes set up and all that. So that might just be me pipe dreaming. All right. So now we're going to make a real thin raw umber. We'll use sort of like a wash here. Well, I mean, not sort of. It is like it is a wash. This one doesn't have to be quite as thin as a lot of our other washes would be, because we kind of want this to be pretty gnarly. Real filthy, you know. So we can leave a little bit more paint on the model than I normally would with a wash. That's really going to help sit in some of these really hard to reach places. I'm using my junkie. I pretty much use this for a lot of my washes. This used to be a pretty decent little brush till my kids kind of got a hold of it. I wasn't paying attention, and they started playing with it, so they flayed it a little bit. It's alright. It still does really good for putting on washes. We were talking yesterday about why other washes are necessary. There's some folks that don't particularly care to use washes. Because of the way I paint, like, sometimes my wash isn't really a wash. It's more just like a really thin version of a paint. But I do like washes. I like the way they'll grab a crevice. And we are going to paint this bronze, but we want to get this brown in first. That way we don't really disrupt the bronze colors. later on. We're going to do his whole leg because we want to tone all this flesh down. Again, you can see how this is more like a really thin paint as much as it is like a wash. It is moving a little bit, but it's not moving quite as much as some of your more standard traditional washes. And that's one of the things about how I paint that maybe is a little bit different than other people, since I use these more artistic, or I should say studio level paints, studio quality paints. My product comes out very different. Because the washes are made from these thicker paints, and so the pigments work differently, and it's just a different process. And it may not be for everybody. And I accept that. Now, I'm not worried about this looking streaky. I just want to make sure it's going to be even. Because we're definitely going to paint over the top of all of this. Ooh, come back here. They said real dirty. Oh, yes. Okay. Ooh, my nose is so sore. Dang, allergies kicking my booty. It's been a pretty rough year for him. Even by my standards. Okay. So versus the first, come through and clean up all of this. Let's start up here. Still got a little red in it. There we go. Cruising right along. Might even be able to get super lucky and start working on the flesh on one of these legs. If we can get through that, I'd be happy. We gotta let that other one dry, but we can try to get through it here in just a second as soon as it finishes drying. We'll stand it up. I'm such a weirdo. It is very, very tedious work, but it is 100% worth every inch of it you put in. Every little bit you're trying to get in here makes a difference, even when it doesn't necessarily feel like it does. And you see that when you get that, when you start dropping your wash and then adding your details in, you'll really start seeing the all the work pay off, all the hard work pay off. We got another one of these bulges back here where this is slipped out. And these little kind of details like this really do help sell things. It doesn't seem like that's a big deal, but it is. It's one of those funny little things where, like, you wouldn't notice it if it wasn't done. You probably wouldn't notice it at all. But when it is done, you definitely notice. You're like, oh, yeah, no, that does make it look cooler or smoother or whatever it is that you're doing. These little tiny details, they make the difference. It's from some, something that looks like a kid's toy to something that looks like a piece of art, As you go and you get like an Imagine X or something, a G.I. Joe or whatever, and the paint on it is, I think it's pretty much molded plastic. I think it's molded in the color it is. Sometimes it's painted, but it's definitely not painted with high attention to detail. Kids' stuff is usually painted very blocky. You just got to bite the bullet and come back with the red on that. It's a really hard angle to get in. It'll be easier to touch the red up. This one's kind of in trouble. Got a couple of mistakes on this one. And not just from last time, but this time too. Yikes. Okay. See, to me, when you don't paint the underneath, it's like you can almost see it in like the refractions of the way the light is moving across the piece. You can almost tell it's there, not there, or how it's supposed to be anyway. Okay. So, time to give this one a wash, and then we'll get over on to some of this other stuff. Put this dark on so that we can lighten everything back up afterwards. These washes are really just going to help us get those edges to pop out. In the places where those lines should be drawn. A little bit of that contour, that border space. Let me get a little bit more of that umber, I think. Which is good. It's one step closer to using up this old tube of paint, getting to the new one. One little pinch closer. Sure you get these crosses to bear down right. Crisscrosses. I want people to be able to see that, where that's coming from, where that's going. Sometimes you need more than one round of this kind of a thing. Oop, got a little Naples in there, we don't want that. I'm going to get this first one in, and then we're going to take a look at what we need to do. Slowly but surely, just knocking it right out. Boom, boom, boom. It's a very thin coat of that raw umber. Almost like a wash, if you will. And then we're going to let this dry, and we'll come back and we'll start layering up the highlights and such like that. It looks a little weird right now, but it will finish itself out really nicely. This one doesn't like to stand up quite as much. Put it over there where it can lean. Okay, let's see. 15 minutes. Okay, well, with only 50 minutes left, let's pull out this 4-0 and we'll start adding this bronze in. Goodness. Okay. My poor eye gets to itching from this allergy stuff, and it like unfocuses, like right in the middle of making strokes. It's so wild. It's kind of a fun game. Like, can I get it done before it starts itching? Oh, can blink like extra hard to get it to stop. And even then, that doesn't actually always work. Ooh. Oh, my eye. Itchy, itchy. Oh. Try to be super gentle with it. But golly, it itches so much sometimes. Okay. It is definitely better, but it is not 100%. Better than it was. Okay, well, there's that part. This part is still way too wet for me to mess with. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's work on these fleshes. So that's our terracotta, which is a good base color, which was what we based that originally. And then we're going to add this pale rose blush, which is another kind of fleshy pink. They're very close to each other, so we're going to use one kind of as we're going to bring it up as we go. And anyway, it's kind of hard to describe until you see it. So anywhere where there's light hitting it, we're going to start putting this other one down, or this the terracotta, and then we'll come back and we're going to hit it with more, or we're going to hit with the lighter color next. But we needed to darken it down just a little bit to get this to work. Now as we come down here, we don't need quite as much of it. as we do up here. Same thing with like right here. We want to transition it. But we want to be very gentle about it. And we also want to leave a little bit of the schmutz. I like that schmutz. And then what you do is, just to show you, since we're running out of time, the very, very tops, we're going to add this color too. And it'll kind of start giving us the look we want. And still stay schmutzy and dirty looking. Because what we really were looking, really trying to get that dirty color underneath him, so we can keep that tarnished look. I like that they use that word because my style is definitely tarnished looking. I like things to look a little tarnished. And this may actually take us a few rounds of messing with it to get it to look exactly the way we want it to look. Hey, Kale. Yeah. Move my guy around.
Move your guy around?
Yeah, he's AFKing. If he hasn't already logged out. May have already logged out. Gosh. Super thin on this back of the leg, and we may even come in later and add some other colors, maybe. But like, nice to be able to have that edge. We can leave it. And then you can see where we want to put more. Kind of focused our layers, you know. Okay, and we'll come through with the even lighter. And you can kind of see his muscles coming out now as we really start highlighting the right stuff. And with this weird striation in here, this is really the best way to do it, because we've got a lot more control over what it's going to look like in the end this way. Excellent. Alright, well, that's a pretty good preview of how we're going to do this. We'll come back tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but Monday, and we'll get to work on the rest of that leg and getting all of his stuff to look right. Anyway, and we'll let this one's almost done drying up. So you can see where you go from this to this. You see a much different look. And this still looks dirty, but it doesn't look like, this looks like it's just covered in mud. We want him to be kind of smutsy and dusty, but not like filth. Not like he just jumped in the mud, because he's supposed to be like a god or something. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for coming by. I've had several people stop in today. Trigger kept going up, which is great. So appreciate all those folks that came by and see us. We're going to try. Here we go. Get myself up. So we're going to be back on Monday for sure. And well, that's about all I got for you. Thanks for coming. If you liked what we did, give us likes, subscribes, maybe share us around, all that sort of stuff I was supposed to say. God, my eyes bugging. Anyway, awesome. You guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.